Hey guys, it's Mr. Calderon with Queen My Pawn, and I'm going to be discussing applications of radians. So, you know that a radian is the same length around the circle as the radius of the circle. So, this has various applications. One of them is finding out how long is a circle? Well, from basic math, we know that the perimeter is just how long something is. And basically, we know that going around the circle, we get 2 pi, okay? Now, this is assuming that the radius is 1, but let's say we had a radius of 7. Well, in that case, the circumference is just amplified by a factor of 7. So we get 2 pi times 7. If we had an 8, then it would just be 2 pi times 8. And in fact, if it was some unknown number like r, it would just be 2 pi r. So, in case you didn't know that already, this is just the formula for circumference. 2 pi r is a circumference. And that's as simple as it gets. But that's for the distance around the entire circle. Suppose that you only wanted a little section of the circle. Say, a little section of the arc, I should say. Let's say you only want this. Now, you know, because I told you in this problem, you need to use the present information. Let's say that this angle is 150 degrees. Okay, I just told you that. So, believe it or not, you know how to do this already. How long is this arc, the one in yellow? If the radius is 7, how long is the arc? So try to figure it out for yourself. And I'll ask you to pause the video, and then I'll let you know when you shouldn't pause. So hopefully you pause the video so you can unpause now, and I can tell you what the answer is. So before you answer that question, if you're still confused, let's say that you have the same circle, right? The same exact circle. And this time you're drawing, again, from the middle, you know, same old, the radius is 7. But this time you only want the length halfway around the circle, right? Well, you know that you should just divide the circumference by 2 in order to get half the circumference. So in that case, you would just get C 2 pi r, which we already found out was 14 pi. And you divide by 2. Well, that's just going to give you the answer. It's going to be pi r, or 7 pi. But let's say you want the yellow part, which is 150. Remember, you have degrees here. And because we learned how to convert from degrees to radians, you can convert that into radians. But I'm going to show you the easiest way. Remember that example over here that we said the circumference was pi r? If we convert pi to degrees, that's like we had the original circumference, right? 2 pi r, and we only went halfway around the circle. So that was 180 degrees over 360. So that's just going to give you half of whatever you're going to get. The halves cancel out and you get pi r. The same thing is what you have to do with the 150. So instead of 180, you just put 150, and you're going to get that answer. So because it got messy, I'm going to rewrite the entire problem and explain it. If you have that circle, the radius is 7. I wrote it backward, but whatever. You want to find out this arc, and you know that this angle you know this angle is 150. Then you get your circumference, which is 2 pi r. But this time it's for a section of a circle. So forget about the circumference, and you're going to multiply this by how many degrees you went around the circle, which is 150. That's as simple as it gets. And whatever you calculate, it's the answer. So I would just plug in r for 7. I would plug in 7 for r. 2 pi times 7, since that was the radius. And then this simplifies to 15 over 36. I know 3 goes into both numbers, so I get 5 over 12. Here's how I did it in my head. 15 over 36, because the zeros canceled out with each other, right? And the degrees canceled out with each other. That's the second line. Divided by 3 on both sides. That gives you 5 over 12. That's why I got 5 over 12 there. Now you do the math. That's going to give you 14 pi times 5 over 12, which is going to be 70 over 12 times pi. Simplify the fraction. What number goes into 70? What number goes into 12? Well, I know that 2 does, and we can start there. 70 divided by 12, divided by 2 on both sides. That gives you 35 over 6. And that's the simplest you got. So you get 35 pi over 6. Now, you could have put this in a calculator, 70 over 12 pi, and you get a decimal. And you're going to get something like around, I think it's going to be like 18 or 19, maybe a little more. So if the radius was 7 and you walk this length, you're going to walk 19. That makes sense. Okay, so here's another question you might get asked. Let's say you got the exact same circle, and the radius is 9. And I want to know how long this distance is, given the fact that this is, let's say it's 7 pi over 6 radians. How long is that distance? Well, again, you drop back to circumference equals 2 pi r. That'll give you 18 pi, but that's for the entire length around the circle. You only walked a little bit of it. So you can multiply that by, I don't think you should, I think you could just, here's how I would do it, okay, on a test. You convert this to degrees and you get 210. So you get 210 over 360. You put that in a calculator and that's your answer. Now, I don't think that plugging this into your calculator is going to give you the right answer. Okay. I know the one in the rectangle is definitely correct, but I'm just going to check right now if multiplying 18 by pi times 7 pi over 6 is the same. I don't think it is, but let me see. Yeah, I knew it. There's no way that's going to work. But if I do 210 over 360, then yeah. Okay, so let's do one more example just for reinforcement, since I may have gotten off track, but the work should be the same. So let's say that you have this right here. You have that same circle. Now this is going to be just a review of what we literally just did, so it should be easy. If the radius is 6 and I go 105 degrees, right? That's too easy. You know that to find this, let me make it more confusing for you. find this distance, the distance that you haven't traversed yet, or the distance you haven't walked. Well, that's going to be confusing. But here is simply a right way to do it. And I'll give you just a second to pause the video and try it out for yourself. Okay, you should unpause the video now. And here is how you do it. Now remember, you need to practice this. So if you're just not pausing the video and you're looking for the right method or answer and you're not thinking about it, you're not trying, so it's going to be less likely to stick in your head. But anyways, here's how you do it. You know that to find the circumference, it's 2 pi r. So it's 2 pi times 6. So it's 12 pi, right? 2 pi r. But that's the whole distance. You got to find the blue. There's two ways to do it. And I'll show you both of them. First way is to find the entire thing, which we just did. And then we subtract the white portion. The white portion is 12 pi minus 12 pi times 105 degrees over 360 degrees. And that'll give you the answer. Second way, which is a lot easier, is just 12 pi times the angle that you haven't walked, which is 360 minus 105. Over 360. And that gives you 12 pi over 360, but times 255 degrees. In other words, look at the circle. This is how much we haven't walked. It's 255 degrees. And this is the answer. All right, so that's as simple as it gets. I really don't think it's hard at all. But if you have any questions, you should definitely comment so I can answer them for you and walk you through them. So if you like the video, make sure to give it a like. Make sure to subscribe for more content. And I'll see you on the next one.